Hi, in this video we're going to talk about high availability as it relates to the Centrify Identity Platform. As you know it, the Identity Platform is composed of two products, Centrify Identity Service and Privilege Service. In this, I will use concepts interchangeably. So what is Identity Service? It's basically an identity as a service platform that provides a very unique way to integrate with Active Directory because end users do not need, or organizations do not need, to replicate out explicitly any Active Directory personal data out in the cloud. So the service uses the components called cloud connectors to provide integration with AD. Regardless of that, it allows you to do several things. For example, I have a user, Fred Thomas, right here. Fred also has a cell phone that you can see on the right. Not only Fred Thomas can access applications like Office 365 from the portal, or he can go directly to, for example, an intranet and access, for example, applications like Google Apps. So you don't need to go to the portal to access those applications. You can have what is called a service provider provided initiated connection. But if you notice here, the end user was able to get SSO to Office 365, is in the process of getting the same to Google Apps. You can have your own on-premise apps as well published, and you can add really cool things like multi-factor authentication tied to it. What that means is, this service has a very strong policy engine in which you can restrict not only situations in which you require step-up authentication, like right here. I'm using the service has several ways to deliver step-up authentication. I love the mobile authenticator because at the end of the day, the user in their mobile device, they're going to get prompted. They're going to be asked to approve, and once that happens, the whole submission is going to happen automatically. However, when you have these types of capabilities, you need to provide enterprise mobility management because now your phone, happens to be another way in which users get access to applications, and also provides multi-factor authentication. So in this case, the service also provides enterprise mobility management capabilities. What that means that users can locate and manage devices. For example, this particular phone right here is now is open. It's located in my house right now, but if I were to lose it and I wanted to track it perhaps in a cab, but in the meantime I just want to lock my screen, I can just send a lock screen command, and in a second here you'll see that the whole thing is going to get locked, right? So, and that's me again with that silly password, right? But then again, what is the benefit? The benefit is that organizations have a very light way to implement applications. They don't need service in the DMZ. They don't need to deal with certificates. They don't need services like ADFS and DirSync. They can just publish applications real quickly. It also provides self-service capabilities like enrolling devices or self-service password reset for both Active Directory users as well as cloud identity users. With that really compressed overview of identity service, let's take a look at some of the things that can be delivered through CPS. So CPS is a broad, sister product of this line here, and it provides secure remote access. I think you've seen that in the demos before. For example, in here, I'm getting an SSH session to a server as root, so inside my browser, so it can act as a proxy system or a jump box. And in here, as you can see, the user was able to get access. At the same time, also, if I wanted to do the same on Windows, I could do the same as well. It does provide also the ability to check out passwords manually, but it does it in a really cool way so people can actually just use their mobile device if they needed to. So, but those capabilities, what do they rely on? They rely on cloud connectors. I'm going to go here and show with Diana what that looks like. I'm going to go to the administrator piece. So if I switch to Cloud Manager, what you'll see is that, and then I go to Settings, you'll see a section here called Cloud Connectors. So cloud connectors are basically our bridges to AD, but they pack a lot of punch because cloud connectors not only provide a bridge to AD, but it can also provide bridges to LDAP directories that are on premise, and they can provide basically VPN-less access to targeted applications. So it acts like a SSL VPN. Notice that in this environment, there's two of them running right now. Um, they are basically very Windows services that run on a Windows machine, and they can be behind your firewall. So if I go in here and I look at my cloud proxy status, this is the one running on this server, right? So my expectation would be that any authentication that I expect happening here, that it will continue to happen if my one of my connectors goes down. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect and stop it, right? So what's happening now is that I'm disconnecting one of the collectors, and in here, what you'll see is that one of them is going to become unavailable. So notice that this one became inactive, right? So my expectation is that my end user, if he needs to go, for example, to Office 365, right? So, you know, of course, there's a lot of caching that goes on, right? I already had access here, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to open a browser here, and I'm going to open a different browser, and I'm not going to get SSO. Actually, you know what? Let's test both. So I have a browser here, an Internet Explorer browser that is configured to do SPNeGo, and what you will see is that the facilitator has to be the other cloud connector, and I got SSO. Let's take a look at a different session here in which an end user is going to try and use Firefox, but in this case they will have to log in manually, kibble. So let's take a look at what happens here. So I want to just do EWA false here. So there's no IWA. So I get challenged. Right, so this user has logged in before from this browser, so there's no MFA here. And let's take a look. So in here, notice that the user was able to get access. Let's just say they needed access again to Office 365 or Google Apps, or a CPS assisted session to Engineering 6, for example. I don't know. Um, So what you will see here is that the user will continue to get SSO and effectively demonstrate that. Notice that he was able to log into that. So the gateway's working here. Uh, Again, I was able to use WSFed to access Office 365 and SAML to access to Google Apps. Let's take a look at, for example, my Apache Home, right? So all those apps are being served through the app gateway. Some of them are internal, some of them are external, but the validation at the end of the day happens through the cloud connector, which was able to complete this failover in a very smooth way. And I hope this ends the series around you know, the high availability with Centrify products. We went over, the AD bridging products with Unix, Linux, and Mac. We did the authorization product on Windows. We did a whole series on direct audit, and now we've done with the identity platform. So I hope that you understand that for Centrify, high availability is a key element of what it's going on. And I think the final will be, well, how about the service itself? So I could do centrify.com/trust, and this will show you statistics about the Centrify identity service or identity platform. How's it performing? In terms of availability, what's the overtime availability? And in here, notice that the uptime is 9994, and all the pods are working. So high availability, a key thing for Centrify, key capability, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed these videos.